Welcome back to lesson 6, everyone. So in this lesson, I'm going to teach you the fundamentals of creating and modifying your theme inside Shopify. So generally in website design, we start with what we call a wireframe, and that's what you can currently see on the screen here. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes just going over creating your wireframe. So this is an action point I'd like you to sort of go ahead and do. And what essentially this does is it creates a guide for you to add in, key elements on your website. So at the moment it might look a little bit confusing, but I'm just going to run over, what the elements are and how to sort of create your own wireframe. So a wireframe is, like I said, is a guide that you create before creating your website. So this is something you can do on paper, just very quick and easy. You don't need to spend kind of hours on it. You can knock this up in like 10-15 minutes and it will give you a good guide and a plan to how to, lay out your website. So you've got all the key elements on there that you want to display and showcase to your customers. So starting off here, so essentially this is your web page. So what you've got here is you've got the top bar here. So we've got an offer bar here. We've got a menu here. We've got your logo in the center at the top, and then we've got your cart elements here. We've got a H1, so a heading 1, so just a bit of text here, and then we've got your hero slider in the background, and these are your three sort of 2 or 3 slides that will slide across. You've then got a second menu along here, just some, a bit of text and some blurb here. You've then got a little bit more text there, and you've got sort of 4 images here. So what we could do is we could add in our 4 products here. So it's almost like featured products. We then kept in like a subscribe, email subscribe option. So we want to keep this there because we want to try and push customers to sign in because that is a key, part of growing your e-commerce and Shopify store is to, gather email addresses so you can market to them later. And that is a bit of a tip there. So, try to kind of collect and gather as many emails as possible because when you have promotions, incentives, you can email those people because they're already interested in what you do. They're easier to convert into a sale. So I've kept this quite high up, and a lot of people will put this right at the bottom next to the footer. And what you'll discover is from things like Hotjar, not everybody will scroll down. So Hotjar will tell you that how far people scroll down on your pages. So keep this slightly higher than right next to the footer. We're then just going to have a nice large image here that will be shop for women's, and a complementary image on the right hand side will show something like shop for men's, and then the footer at the bottom here. So this is just a general guideline that you can sketch out just on an A4 piece of paper. As I said, it shouldn't take long, about 10-15 minutes or so, and it will give you a good plan and a good guidance to get you up and away. Don't forget that if you are using themes, then you might be slightly restricted to the kind of like the theme developer's original theme and template. However, Shopify does allow you to create sections, add in kind of like text and images, subscriptions and so on and so forth. So, and I'm going to go over that with you now, and we're going to sort of create, something like this. And it may not be identical to this, but it'll be quite close and quite similar. And this is our kind of like guided wireframe. There are other wireframes that you can look at as well. So if you just go into like Google and type in, website wireframe, you'll see some pages like this. Like this, and then you can just kind of like see here, this is somebody else's wireframe that they've done. But say if you come into Google and just type in web wireframe or website wireframe, you'll see lots of examples of how kind of like web designers will create their kind of like guided skeleton of their website. So let's dive back into and actually modifying and customizing your Shopify theme and using our guideline that we've set out in here. So we're just back in the dashboard. So what you want to do is come down to Online Store and hit Themes just here. You'll then see a page such as this. Come down, so once you've installed your free theme through the Shopify theme section, come along here and hit the Publish button. Once you've had a quick little look at it here, hit Publish. Okay, so this is now live on the front end. So to view it, just come over here and hit here. Okay, so of course, because we've got no images on there at the moment, what Shopify has done is it just adds these sort of grey background images in here, and it just shows us a little preview of it in this sense here. So to start customizing the theme, all you need to simply do is come here and hit the customize button here. This will then throw you back into the front end of the site in a live custom editor, which is all built by Shopify. And all your kind of left-hand panel here is where you essentially control the header, the footer, the theme colors, settings, fonts, the typography, and much more. So generally, what I start with is the theme's main settings. So this, as you can see here, will include all your main core colors, your typography, the cart section, social, the favicon, which is just this little icon that you see here in the top left. So Shopify's favicon is like a little green shopping bag with an S on there, and the checkout kind of section. So generally, guys, I start with the colors of the website. And this ironically straight out of the bag is kind of picked a good color scheme. It's chosen kind of like gold and black, which complements the logo that we've created quite well, as you can see just there on the on the hooded top. And Shopify will try to draw some of the colors it can from various sections. But what you want to do is you want to essentially just come along here. The background, typically you can either go for a white background. If obviously you're going for a dark color, you can come and hit dark, and this will give you like a darker look. You can choose your colors in this color selection here. You can have none, so it's essentially transparent. Or go for different colors. There's kind of like no right or wrong. In general, I recommend to go for something quite clean and clinical. Whites work quite well, and black if obviously you're going for like a dark coloured scheme. Depending on your product, your service, and your customer. So generally, I'd say go for none or white. Or black as a tertiary on that. So I'm going to stick to white here, and that's my hex code there. The headings, so headings are here. So I'm going to stick to black, but as I said, I can change these to whatever colour I wish. So we're going to stick to a black colour here. Your text, so all this sort of font here is controlled here. Scroll down, links and accents. So if you added a link in here to another, a link to another page, that's where you control, those. And so, for example, if I had a link on here, product would be a different color, and that's where you control these. Buttons is these and internal. So I'm going to go ahead and change the button color to this nice gold color here, which complements part of the logo in there. So I'm going to come here, and this is kind of it's pre-populated these, so I'm going to hit that, and you can see it's because we're in live edit mode, it's gone and it's done it straight away. If you do something and you want to go back, you have got these undo and redo options in the bottom here, and you can undo and redo. So if I click undo, that will go back to black. If I redo it, it'll go back to gold. Okay. So that's if you make any mistakes. If you do want to save as you go along, you can just hit the save in the top right corner here, and that will save it immediately in the live editor view. So coming down here then, guys, so this is our navigation section. So this is kind of like your menu. So you can control a lot of the colors in this section in the menu here in the navigation, and that's fairly self-explanatory. So just moving down here. So the footer, so that is
the bottom. So if I come all the way down here, so you can see the background is grey and the text is darker grey. So if I was to change this, I don't know, red, let's just say, just so you can see it, so you can see all that in there, and I can change all the colours in there. So we'll just leave it slightly off grey as it was previously, and text in there is on there as well. Drawers, so this is actually the side menu here. So if I come in here and if I click this and change it to gold, for example, that will change there. Light grey or white. Drawers is like a hamburger menu is what we call it. And again, text, if I want to make this text gold instead, I just simply come in there and change that. So it's all in live preview. It's all kind of in live time, so it's nice and straightforward. So that will kind of like dictate all your kind of your menu colours and all your colours across the board there. And so if you come down to typography now, so this is essentially all your text and type. So at the moment, the default font is a font called Carla. So they're giving you, Shopify uses a good mix of fonts in here. Some of my personal favourites that I kind of often use are Avenir. So if you just type in there Avenir, so Avenir Next is a very good one. Avenir Next Rounded is also very nice. If I just quickly show you this one, so you just see there that it's just changed. What you can do is you can also change the type on there. So if I go to like, for example, a medium weight, so this would be slightly more thicker now. There you go. So you've just seen it, so it's gone slightly more thick. It's a bit more legible, a bit more readable. Another good font that I really use, and is a very, very popular one at the moment, is one called Montserrat. And so I'm just going to show you that one as well. So you can see there, it's just changed ever so slightly. Again, come down here, perhaps a medium weight. There we go. So that looks quite clean, quite clinical. I think it matches the rest of the theme where it's quite a clean, minimalist theme. So I'm going to go ahead and run with Montserrat and select that one. In terms of the base size font, so this is for some of the main headings. So you can come in here and change this. So what Shopify does is it will kind of limit the font sizes just to give you a guidance to follow best practice in there. So you can't choose, a font size which is 10 pixels, for example, because it'd be so small you couldn't read it. So Shopify is quite good with that. Again, same sort of thing with your navigation and button sizes. So I'm going to stick to the 16 pixels that's got on there because that's quite legible and it looks good. You can make it capitalized if you really, really want to, and that'll just make it all in caps. So I'm just going to untick that there. Your body text, so this is all your text here, not your headings. So the current one is Open Sans, which I think is quite nice, but I do like to go for, again, either Montserrat or Maven. Another good one is Railway. So just to show you that one. So yes, it's changed it. I know this is a Railway font, so that's quite a clean font. As I said, also Maven is quite a good one. So let's go in there, hit Maven, and that looks quite clean. But what I'm going to do is, in this instance, I am going to go for the main font, which is Montserrat, as my main heading fonts, and I'm just going to stick to that because it looks all nice and consistent. It's very clean and legible. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. I am going to bump up the size of the text ever so slightly, just to make it a little bit more legible. So I'm going to bump that up to 16 pixels, and this should get a bit bigger now. There we go. So that's perfect, and that looks really spot on as well in there as well. So what you do want to do is, guys, you don't want to make it too small that it's not easily readable for your customers. You do want to make it nice and easy for them to sort of read the font and the text and appreciate your site in there. So it's just a bit of a top tip there. Okay, once you've selected your fonts in here, just go ahead and hit save in the top right corner. Okay, and then just come back. So we've done colours, we've done typography. So let's go down to our cart section. So the cart section, we can keep it in a drawer style, which is like this, or we can have it as a page. What I'm going to do is I am going to stick to the original font and keep it as a drawer style. And generally, the theme designers will tend to get that right. So it's good practice to kind of keep a lot of the core settings as they are. But obviously, do play around that should you wish. So your social media settings, you can kind of just copy paste your Facebook links and brands in here. You've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram in there, Google, and many others. You can tick these to make it shareable. So all you do is just go onto your page, which will be similar format to this, facebook.com/ and it'll be your brand name. So just simply go onto your Facebook page, copy paste that link in there, and the same for the rest of the channels. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop that in there for the minute. Let's just do just so there's something in there that you can see when we go through it later on. Okay. So just go back here. So favicon. So this, as mentioned, is just the small icon that gets left in the browser. So I do recommend to use that. Because it is a good way of branding and helping users when they bookmark your site, when they kind of add it into their library. It is a good way of kind of differentiating your brand and also making it more identifiable. So you can just come up here and just select your logo, for example, and then once that's sort of finished populating, just simply hit select. And then save. Okay, and then once I come on the front end and hit Control Command R or Control F5 on keyboard, you can see that it's added the favicon in the top here in the browser. As I said, I will likely come back and change this. Although I'm using a dark color scheme, it's quite hard to see at the moment. But you want to do something like Shopify has done here, is clean, crisp, and it's very identifiable to your brand. So that's your favicon. Your checkout is if you want to add in some logos, etc. Change your typography on your checkout stages. So we'll come back to this once we've done customize the rest of the site. Okay, so that's essentially your main theme settings. So we've done the main things, which is your colors, your types, and your social media. So let's go back and jump into these sections. So I like to start off from the top down, and that's a real good way to sort of control the whole of your site, guys. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to start with your logo. So your logo is actually going to be in the header section. So if you come down to the header, and then you've got two logos here. So this particular theme gives you two options. One is for the internal pages and one is for the home page, which is the one that we're sort of currently on. So I'm just going to come in here and select this one. So this has already been uploaded in there from our favicon. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this. Okay, and so again, you can kind of like edit this, change this, and use your logo that you've sort of created. So that's essentially our logo added on here. So let's just add this in there as well. Hit select. So go back. We can then do our top navigation announcement bar. So what I'm going to do is, and what I recommend is to have something like a discount or a percentage, because they work fantastically well. So let's just do something like introductory offer, get 25% off now, use code 25 off. Okay, so So that's on there, guys. So that's nice and easy, and that can be set to obviously, your home page only, or announcement pages, or across the board. So I generally say just leave it across the whole site, because you never quite know where your users might land. So they might not land on your home page, they might find you and end up on your internal page. So I generally untick that option on there. Okay, so we've got our logo, we've done our entry top bar offer. So if you've come down here now, let's add our hero image into the slide bar here and start bringing this site really to life. So that's on your slideshow here. So come down to slideshow. I definitely want it as full screen, and that's generally the good trend that's following at the moment. I would like my slides to auto rotate, because I will add multiple slides in here. You can also add an image overlay over the image, so that's essentially like a color. So I can kind of change all these colors here to make, and that's to make the text here a little bit more legible. So you'll see, and you can play around with this section to kind of make it, more kind of suitable for whatever image that you're adding on there. So I mean 25% generally works quite well. But let me just come in here, let's just get an image added on. So what I have done is I have created a couple of hero images. So I've gotten these images from some of the sites we talked about in some of the earlier lessons, which is Unsplash, and Pixabay, etc. So you can see here that we've got our hoodwear logo on there, and we've got some text here. So that's slide one. So I'm just going to select this. Okay, and then just look at the positioning of it and make sure I'm happy with the positioning of the image. So it's currently set to middle center. So let's just have a look at it as for example, top center. Let's just see what it does. So it's gone slightly higher up, and I think that looks pretty cool there. I think that works. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so the text on there. So we could do something like, welcome to Hoodwear Urban Apparel. So that's on there. Okay, so just go back on there, and so we're going to add in another image slide for our second slide. So come in here again and select. So upload, and for my second image I'm going to choose this one here. Just wait for that to load. Okay, and that's my second slide on there. So come in here, hit select again, and then I can change my font in there and do something like introducing menswear. Okay, and I could also add a link on here, so I could kind of send it to a page, which we'll do after, once we've started to create our pages. Okay, so let's close that down as well. You can reorder these from here. You can swap them around, and go for whichever one you feel looks better as your kind of your main hero image. So again, we've got our kind of our logo on there. So I'm going to actually keep the this particular one as the hero image of when you land on the site. So again, you can swap these around as you see fit. You can add in multiple images in here. For the moment, I'm going to stick to 2. The opacity, I'm just going to bump that up slightly to around 40%, just to make the text a little bit more legible. So I've just made the overlay slightly darker, and you can see here the font is slightly more readable now. Okay, so that's our slide done. So we've already well underway, guys. We've got our logo done, we've got our hero image, some text on our hero section, and we've got our introductory offer added as well. So this is flicking through a little bit too quick in my opinion, so I'm just going to go back in here, and I'm just going to change the settings to 5 seconds, just so it's a little bit longer, and then hit the save in the top right corner. So just wait for this green bar to finish. So that's all saved up now, guys. So we've got this. So we've got all our above the fold. So this section here is called the above the fold section in the in the web design world. So above the fold comes from an old newspaper term whereby you essentially have all your important elements and all your important offers, your branding, your logo in there, because that's the first thing people will see when they land on your site. As I said, it comes from an old newspaper terminology because that's when newspapers were folded. It was above the fold. That was their main headline. That's what they wanted people to see to purchase a newspaper. And that's just been transferred into the digital era and into website design. Okay, so we've got that. So I'm just going to edit this sort of this section here. So talk about your brand. So come here, and let's put something. So we've done, welcome to Hood Apparel Wear. So we've done that. In here you can put in something like a tagline or something like that. So I'm just going to put urban clothing for your choice. So something like that. You can put in some text there, as you see fit, and just talk a little bit about your brand and kind of like what represents your brand. So I'm just going to quickly type something in here. Okay, so I've just kind of like made this up, as we've gone along on the fly. So, a beautiful apparel clothing supplier based in the UK. So I'm just kind of like telling them who we are, what we do, and where we're based. A modern twist of elegant and relaxed hoodies to wear for any day. Check out some of our styles below. So short, snappy, and quite punchy. But we've also got some of our sort of nice keywords in here. So you've got clothing supplier. We've got where we're based, which is quite important. We've got what we're selling, and kind of like from and when to wear them. So any day. So that's a nice idea just to kind of introduce who you are, what you do in there. So this is our first product that we added on there, so it looks pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come up here on the top right, hit the save button, and then we're going to add in a few more products. So I'm just going to go ahead. So we've already covered this section, so I'm not going to do it again. So if you bear with me, I'm now going to go in and just populate a few more in there just to get this all populated.